Alright, so moving along, we're going to solve two more examples, and from there, um, maybe I will take some questions, or I'll provide some questions so that you guys can practice. So our next problem reads, negative 7 over 8 t is less than negative 14. So this one is just a simple one-step solution. All we have to do is get the variable by itself, and remember that this negative 7 over 8 is kind of multiplied along the t, so we can multiply it by the reciprocal because we want to have the coefficient of t to be 1. That's always the goal. That's why we always divide it over. So the last step for solving for the variable, essentially whatever value you have in front of the t, you want to get to 1. That is always your goal. So the only two things you can do is either you multiply something across in order to get it to 1. For example, right here, we multiply negative 7 over 8 by negative 8 over 7 to both sides, and we do it strictly to the left hand side because multiplying it by the reciprocal will always give you 1. So that's an important concept, especially when you're dealing with coefficients that have fractions involved. Now, the next thing that you're able to do in order to get the coefficient to be 1 is you're allowed to divide over, which was expressed in the last example that we did. So that's a really important step. And from there, we'll move on to solving this inequality. So notice that this is one of the triggers that we have where we must change the inequality at the end of our result because we multiplied both sides of the inequality by a negative value. So we'll begin with the left-hand side. You see that the 8s and the 7s cancel out, and the negative signs, negative times negatives gives a positive, so we get a 1 in front of it, which we don't even have to represent. Now, I'm going to put this 14 over 1. We can cross cancel 14 and 7. They're both divisible by 7, so 7 divides 7 one time. 14 is divisible by 7 twice. Next we have negative 2 times negative 8, and that gives us positive 16. Now remember, this was a trigger, so we must change the sign. So we have t is greater than 16. Now let's graph this on the line. So for the sake of time, just imagine that this is where 16 lies, and then this is where 0 lies. We want t to be any value larger than 16, but it doesn't include 16 in our solution. So this time we're going to begin with a parenthesis, but we want everything to the right of 16. If we were to express this in interval notation, we would begin with 16, and this time it would be a parenthesis, so we're not including that value, up to infinity.